power of the dark side.
Target on the move. Prepare to engage.
May the Force be with you.
I will do what I must.
At last, I am complete. Come in fairness. Annihilation awaits. Boundless is my hunger.
Hit me like I might get over, but you can give me in no corner. I know I can make a comeback, ace this round and finish this game now. Got the power on my shoulders, yeah, you know that I'm a soldier. You can keep me off my guard, but you can't keep me from my honor.
I feel like the floor is lava, the energy's getting higher. You're saving my arms, 'cause I know just what I got. I got you like na-na-na, and you know I hold the power. This feeling I love, oh yeah. Making my grind good to great, so don't stand in my way. Standing tall and I won't fall over. We are better than great, good. We are better than great. We stand tall, won't run away. We are fun, nothing gon' change. Great, we are better than great, great.
Malakas, Pilipinas, malakas kahit anong lane, we become the monsters. Malakas, Pilipinas, malakas face the golden sun and ribbon for the 3 stars. Look at us to the top, no ifs, no buts. Winning any game, para to sa PANAS. Di mo matikin ang aming boses sa new level. Nasa kalye man o mobile, you know I become a legend. Open fire, we unite, we winners. built with pressure like diamonds are made of. Switch in a lane na parang gera, HP racing may reseta. Built like a tank, buhat ni Hilda, full load SS parang Lyra. Susundan ko ang iyong bakas, kasama patas, tagumpay natin to dahil tayo'y malakas. Para sa Pinas, nasa amin ang alas, hindi tuwa atras, kinikilala sa taas kasi kami ang malakas. Para sa Pinas, nasa amin ang alas, hindi tuwa atras, kinikilala sa taas, ganito kami sa Pinas. Wow! Hold on. Yeah, wala ka sa Pinas. We are laging every beat, no surrender, no retreat. Pag nagsama-sama, just imagine what we can achieve. Laging every beat, no surrender, no retreat. Giving 100 all my all, cause we just cannot be defeated. We are unstoppable, immune and invulnerable. Ready ang equipment, lahat frozen, malang crowd control. Pakita ko na jab like pow, beast of the southeast. Taas sa watawat, proud and loud, cause every enemy we devour. Susundan ko ang iyong bakas, kasama patas, tagumpay natin to dahil tayo'y malakas. Para sa Pinas, nasa amin ang alas, hindi tuwa atras, kinikilala sa taas kasi kami ang malakas. Para sa Pinas, nasa amin ang alas, hindi tuwa atras, kinikilala sa taas, ganito kami sa Pinas. Wow! Malakas, Pilipinas, malakas. Kahit anong lane, we become the monsters. Malakas, Pilipinas, malakas. Face the golden sun and repping for the 3 stars. Ang lakas ng Pinas, we unite, be the stars. Ang lakas ng Pinas, we unite, be the stars. Ang lakas ng Pinas, we unite, be the stars. Ang lakas ng Pinas, we the stars.
Lakas ng Pinas, we unite, we the stars. Ang lakas ng Pinas, we unite, we the stars. Ang lakas ng Pinas, we unite, we the stars. Ang lakas ng Pinas, we the stars.
The 14th season of MPL Philippines is brought to you by the following sponsors. Smart, the official telco partner of MPL Philippines Season 14. The official tournament phone of MPL Philippines, Infinix GT20 Pro. Official suppliers, EMC Asia and Index Salon. Experience the MPL PH Season 14 action live at Green Sun, Makati City. Grab your tickets now via official MPL PH website. Don't miss any MPL action by following our official Facebook and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Follow MPL PH on TikTok for more content. And to ensure the equality and fairness of our games, MPL Philippines is also monitored and supervised by the Games and Amusements Board.
Lakas ng Pinas!
Since the week began, every single game has been a crucial step towards the next stage of the season. At sa huling araw ng linggong ito, maaaring mas magiging klaro na ang mga koponan makakapasok sa playoffs. The Sonics are already one step ahead. Who will follow next? Yan ang dapat natin abangan dito lang sa MPL Philippines Season 14. Ako po si Mara Aquino. Simulan na ang bakbakan. Casters, pasok!
Let's get the last day of week 5 going. Welcome to MPL Philippines Season 14. At your service, my name is Leo, here with Naisu. And Joseph, I missed out on yesterday, but best believe I was glued to my screen. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I got some rest. Yeah, it was almost a full extended day. We had two go 3-game series, or to get 3 games out of that. But overall, it was a fantastic day, and I think it really solidifies more of the standings, especially when we talk about the top up there.
For sure. Yesterday, we had a 2-1, a 2-0, and a 2-1 amongst the smorgasbord of debuts. We had a Eve, an Ixia, a Carmilla, a Bellaric come through. Amazing. We will get more into that in just a bit. Real quick, we'd like to remind everyone that with Smart's Power All 99, you have the power to do what you want. With 8 gigabytes for all sites and apps, you can power your play or watch, share, and stream everything.
You also get a free Giga Arena ticket, so you can unleash the inner gamer in you. This also comes with Unli TikTok and Unli Text to all networks. All that power for just 7 days for just 99 pesos. Load now.
Yesterday, we saw the debut of Brian Spider Miles Santos, helping keep Fnatic Onyx Philippines win streak healthy and spotless. 9-0 currently, still at number 1. Of course, followed by Falcons APBren. They'll be in action later on tonight with Smart Omega coming through with their victory over Aurora that we ended the night with 2-1. And then we have the rest of the standings relatively stable. Like, we haven't really seen these 4 teams down below move much.
Yeah, they haven't moved too much. And, you know, I guess when we came into week 5, it was like, you know, even at the bottom here, the bottom half, or even the bottom 2, I was like, you know, they could inch up. But I feel like now at this point, as we close up week 5, it's getting a little tougher for those bottom 2 teams.
Yep. Speaking of, we got a couple of teams down in the bottom, just at the cusp of the red zone. RSG facing off against TNC. Pro team yet to win their first series in Season 14. Back-to-back with our highlight match for this weekend. Aurora, MLBB facing off against the defending world champions, Falcons, APBren. Joseph, I'll tell you now, I don't have a favorite moment from yesterday.
You don't?
I don't. I'm just so happy to see that the metagame is constantly shifting and changing. In the past couple of years, is this not the healthiest the metagame has ever been?
I completely stand by that. I think we started to see this shift, maybe the last season and everything, but now we're in a position where you have so many opportunities, so many unique heroes. I mean, even one of the stats that we talked about yesterday alone was there's 3 players, I believe, currently in the league that have 11 unique heroes.
Almost a dozen. Real quick to break down TNC versus RSG. Let's throw it over to the Infinix game, Tambayan.
Thank you so much, casters. My name is Brida, together with Renmar, and I welcome you all to the Infinix game Tambayan. And similar to what our casters have previously mentioned, I feel like I really want to throw all of my prior knowledge regarding the meta out of the window, because based on what happened yesterday, we've been seeing a lot of changes in terms of the meta game.
Yeah, the meta game really has grown out, and it was nice who mentioned that really interesting stat line about how there are 2 players right now tied with 11 unique heroes, while there's Chaknu at around 12 or 13 unique heroes. So yeah, the meta game really has become healthier once teams got to fully adjust to it.
Yep, and we're looking at 2 of the teams who might just be the most the teams with the most number of possible unique hero picks so far that could potentially be used in the coming matches later on. And before we head into that, of course, we have a lot to discuss and of course first acknowledge, which is the Infinix GT20 Pro as the official tournament phone of the MPL Season 14. You're seeing it right in front of Renmar right here, and those are the phones that our players are currently using. So when we see the hand cams, of course, we're all familiar with how they go with their gameplay. And aside from that, again, going back to the match, we have to discuss one of the newest additions that has been added to the roster for RSG Philippines. This is Coach Link, by the way, and he's been an amateur and collegiate MLBB coach ever since, and he's been very active when it came to the competitive MLBB scene. Formerly, he also coached the recent UP Fighting Maroons in the UAAP Esports, which was recently launched, the inaugural UAAP season. So that was, I think, one of the things you would really want to take note about when it comes to talking about Coach Link. And if I'm not mistaken, he's been part of RSG, or he's been helping RSG even way before he was officially acknowledged and announced as part of the roster, right? So, now, let's skip and focus on the matchup that we want to watch out for as well for this matchup. It's the roamers. It's both Escalera and Light. We have to really watch out for these two roamers. I think they have relatively similar statistics, but there are certain differences, I'd say, in terms of the kinds of heroes they use. And definitely Escalera has showed us a lot more heroes as compared to Light.
It was really impressive. I felt like Escalera got to ease up a little bit on the doubters that were coming his way with his performance yesterday up against Falcons APBren. Not the cleanest performance, but it was much better in the sense that finally one of the biggest problems that TNC Pro Team has been facing with what we were always seeing from in-game and confirmed by the back-end coaching staff, that it was a little bit of hesitation, that it was them not really completely meshing in terms of the calls. When Escalera would just go forward and say, hey, let's do this, we'll go ahead and commit this play, then TNC committed this play. That could have been downplayed just a little bit more so that they played a little bit safer, but then we got to see them improve. That's why I feel like going into this, RSG really needs to be in their A game. Yes, they won their last meetup up against TNC Pro Team. They swept them without that much of a problem, but that was a different TNC Pro Team that they were facing. It was SDZYZ and Hatred in the lineup. Now with it being Kaizen and Lancy being the main players for TNC right now in the jungle and mid position, it's for sure going to be a different TNC Pro Team that if RSG has not changed, has not evolved, then TNC Pro Team or RSG Philippines will struggle.
Yep. And I like what you pointed out about RSG Philippines not changing or not adjusting that much, because I feel like from the previous time that we've seen them, there has been some bit of changes in terms of like how RSG decided to play their game, and they were actually introducing some new picks. There was this Hellcurt which made waves recently when it was introduced by RSG Philippines. So there's could there be this idea that RSG is attempting to explore or try new things within their playstyle, which I'd like to currently bring into the conversation, because we've known RSG to be a very fundamental and systematic team for the longest time.
Yes. All right. Again, because of the performances we've seen from other teams, from the rest of the league, when it comes to introducing new unique picks, I mean, come on, they made Belleric work. They made Belleric 1. I think the Carmilla brought back again yesterday, but I believe that was like the second time Carmilla was played. Then it did okay. I have no problem with teams trying things out. Just make sure that the pick that's going to be coming in, it's something that makes sense for what is presented. If it works out in your scrims, great, sure, that's totally fine. But make sure that it's the right time to bring it out. If Light picks up the Hellcurt again, I'm not going to knock it just yet, but I hope that the pieces around it are much better.
Yep, and now it's time for our viewers to also bring out their votes and show their support. So, MPL fans, who do you think is winning this match? Is it TNC or RSG? Vote now via the online poll, and I feel like Renmar has something to bring out as well, which is somewhat of a giveaway as to what his vote is going to be.
This is my little wolf shrine. It's my little wolf piece, and it's a cup of coffee, not made by Wolf himself, but hopefully, you know.
Yeah. For those who aren't that familiar, Coach Wolf does really good art.
Coach Wolf is great at grinding coffee beans and making great cups of coffee.
Yeah, that's right. He's very particular with the designs that he's showing up. And this match is something I feel that Coach Wolf is also very much looking forward to, because yesterday we've seen him all smiles. He was really happy even after that 1-2 standing up against Falcons APBren, because it doesn't change the fact that it was against Falcons APBren and they performed really well.
Yeah, one of our medias made a great article about asking Coach Wolf, why are you so happy? You guys still lost. You haven't gotten the series. But Coach Wolf said, hey, all the things that we asked for our players, that we asked our teams to bring out, they did it. They put Falcons APBren to the test.
Yeah, so for Renmar, that's TNC. He's watching out for that might just win the series. And I'm afraid I have to say I'm also looking at TNC.
Why are you afraid? Accept it.
I'm accepting it, yeah.
Accept it.
After what they've shown us yesterday, I was at the PH broadcast yesterday. Everyone was just screaming. We could barely remember or say anything anymore because we were just so surprised. The performances of both Kaizen, Kozen, I must say, I'm TNC. I'm proud of this. Like, I can't get it in the center, but like, you know what I mean. I'm really
Yeah.
proud of this vote, and I'm looking forward to see
So
how
K-pop
TNC will
coded.
slowly rise. Oh, which one? This one?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Great job, Momo. Yeah. Did we ever get to confirm who that is actually on the sticker? Don't tell me that's still Ben Face. He's in Aurora now.
His hair isn't two-toned, but
Oh, yeah,
we'll get to see, because it's not just TNC who has this new recall. The specialized MPL PH team recalls are all about to be introduced to us in the coming days. But what we need to get to know, and what we need to really know, who will be the players who will be playing for today. So let's throw it over to our team intros.
Welcome to our first match of the day, welcoming our marshals, Jeff, Chico, Pat, and Wilbert. Rise from the ashes once more after an impressive showing yesterday. Welcome to the stage, TNC Pro Team! And their opponents, across them, the Raiders. They're here to begin the day with a win. It's RSG Philippines! And their coaches for TNC Pro Team, Coach Wolf. And for RSG Philippines, Coach Panda.
It's time for the face-off. Escalera, light, step forward. Escalera, paano mo babawian si Light at ang kanyang koponan? Ano ang palag mo?
Hindi ko siya tinulugan.
Light, paano mo masisiguro na hindi makakabawi ang Phoenix Army? Ano ang palag mo?
Mas gagaling ako palalo dun sa past performance ko para di niya ako mabayan.
Palag kung palag, fist bump. It's time to find out which among these two teams are stronger today. Round 2 in this fight. Panel, pass on.
You know what? I'm not so sure if the concept of home and away jerseys applies to TNC, because they were also wearing white yesterday when they were away. And now they're home, but they're still wearing white. So I might just relate this to the idea they introduced yesterday.
Yep.
A new jersey, a new identity for TNC in the second half.
Yeah, that's a great marketing plan from TNC Pro Team. I hope they have a great plan coming in for today up against RSG Philippines. Yes, you tested Falcons APBren yesterday, but again, Escalera and Lancy really have to be on point against Light and Aqua. Yes, they have been struggling, but RSG Philippines has had a fair share of performances compared to Blacklist International and TNC Pro Team, who, let's be honest, throughout the season has been getting swept more. RSG Philippines have been getting games.
Yeah.
They just haven't been winning series. And for RSGPH, well, it really will begin in the mid. Win the mid, win the sides, win the game.
And we know RSG to be a team who tends to really adjust in the latter portions of the season. It's only a question of when will that be happening. For the longest time, we know that's RSG's kind of approach in the regular season, but this time it's not just them who's really seeking out the changes and the improvements. It's also TNC who's also been able to show us glimpses of those improvements already. Now, one thing probably we'd like to take note of in terms of this head-to-head is the approach that most of these teams are showing us in the early game, because TNC, we know them to be focused on that, but they've been slowly maintaining it. But RSG, will their objective-centric approach work this time against TNC, who also works in the similar way?
Infinix keys to victory, TNC Pro Team. Fan the flame and rise from the ashes. Pretty much just continue the good things you were doing yesterday and temper the overextensions that you showed up when you were being overly aggressive. For RSG Philippines, reflect on your identity and apply the Panda mentals. Stick to the basics. You mentioned the objective team fights, Brigida. Start from there. And of course, create your own breakthroughs and ride on it. Again, it's all good if you're gonna come up with some unique picks. Just make sure you're ready to play around it and that the pieces around it are great. And number one, the pieces on your opponent's side won't counter that specific thing that you're trying to make work that's unique.
Yep. You know, some of the things which really stood out from RSG Philippines, or when you look at their overall stats, is how they really rank first in terms of least deaths. So is that how much they tend to avoid the team fights that really happen, especially in the early stages, since they're also really leading, or they really are behind in terms of the average heal to allies and all that, the sustain overall. But TNC, they're slowly focusing on that. They're going for the Afaramis, they're going for the Mathilda, and we're seeing Kozen rise up in performance a lot more. So might they want to focus on actually rotating on a specific lane this time, or really denying the snowballs from the members of TNC? Because if TNC gets hold of the similar start yesterday, it might just be a little bit more likely that they can maintain it this time around.
Yeah, and with them deciding to pick the blue side here, I feel like that, again, continue the momentum, fan the flames. That's what we keep saying. If you want to continue the momentum, do it from the blue side. It's going to be difficult to do that if you're just going to be counter-drafting on the red. So with that there, I'm glad that you mentioned the Matilda and the Faramis. You highlighted Kozen as well, who yesterday, if they won that game 3, I'm sure that Ixia, that Kozen pick, would have been the MVP. So that's 3 unique heroes already that we don't see often in this current meta. The Matilda and the Roam, the mid and the Faramis, although that's been slowly creeping up just a little bit. It's still very selective for teams to want to bring that out. And even the Ixia. So if RSG Philippines really want to take the series win here, they can't just come into this thinking, oh, we've already beaten them before, we can beat them again. This is a different team, drafts differently, plays differently, different players as well.
Yeah, I wonder what could happen if RSG decided to not avoid the fights anymore, if they just decided to go head-on or head-to-head.
Oh, wait,
with
okay, so
TNC.
is this you saying, Brigida, that they've been a little bit too cautious for your taste?
I feel like that's been my observation for RSG Philippines at least.
Yeah, she just said she hates that.
It's not well,
it's okay, don't need to get
I
defensive.
am looking for the action. But then if it just so happens that even statistically, we see that there's a higher first blood rate for TNC. So it might just be a little difficult for RSG to bounce back if they immediately let go of that. We've seen Light, especially when he gets hold of the less aggressive heroes, be unable to regain the control or the space that he should be creating for his team once that's happened. So again, blue side for TNC Pro Team. I wonder how this will be going. Will they still be prioritizing the heads to Rizla hero similar to yesterday, or should they be going for a different route this time?
If they decide to go heads EXP, then that allows them to draft in the unique pattern that they did. So now that they're banning out the assassins, the Roger could be available for them if ever. So we're still looking at the Roger, Harith as the top picks. However, in this specific matchup, I feel like teams might consider picking up the Edith or with Harith gone, Edith or Roger. If this becomes like the Terizla head suddenly, let's see, because Phovius is a great pickup for Nibor, and maybe TNC might consider blocking that.
In the previous matchup we've seen between TNC and RSG, I think Nibor actually got an MVP. So they deny that from Nibor, which opens up the Edith for RSG if they want to go for that immediately, as well as the Roger, which I feel are 2 great pickups that RSG might eventually secure later on.
Yeah, I agree with you on the Roger pickup there. Could be good. Roger, Edith, if they want to go for the power picks. they don't need to take a Terizla right away because you're not going to block anything. So just go ahead and pick up the power picks. You already see the EXP laner on the other side. Okay. They decide to shift it into the Zask and the Julian.
Whoa.
So they're letting go of really strong power picks. They get aggression, however. Okay, so this is them wanting to go aggressive. Again, level 3 empowered ganks coming in from Julian. And, well, this will allow Aqua to do more stuff on his own and not always be so reliant on Light to be the front. I feel like RSG might actually consider a pick-off type of roamer here, maybe the Kaja or the Jawhead, considering that they drafted the Zask.
And it's been Light's signature kind of roamers ever since. But then Escalera, we've seen this yesterday, and it seems like they're still going to stick with this kind of approach. So if this is completely similar to what we've seen from them yesterday, yes, they'll be going with an assassin jungler and another potential support type of mid to complement the Mathilda, and then eventually give Kozen a snowball or late game hero later on. But RSG, still, they also get hold of the Edith, so not so sure whether this will be Nibor or Light's hero. But even then, what I'm seeing so far is that RSG is quite heavy in terms of the magic damage right now.
So with the lineup that's very dependent on magic damage for your main first picks, that means they really do want to go for the early here. Most of the time that RG Philippines have picked up the Edith, it did go into the hands of Nibor. So I wouldn't turn off the idea of we still don't know the roamer of Light. And I'm still leaning towards the idea that it might be pick off. Well, even Coach Wolf laughed about it. It's like, wow, okay, cool. We're getting respected.
They took out the Iksha. Since we've been suggesting the idea of how similar this is going to be with yesterday's draft for TNC, but I feel like it isn't just the Iksha that could potentially show up later on. There are a lot of other late game scaling heroes. We still have, no, they don't have the Moscow anymore. They still have the carry, or if they want to go for something different, maybe another kind of marksman, the Nathan. I think we've been seeing it yesterday as well.
If we go Nathan, I feel like that's way too much magic damage.
Oh, yeah,
they should level it out on with the physical. RSG could pick up the Roger, but the thing is, I think it's getting blocked right now by Phoveus, and RSG are still floating the ideas of, do we really want to go to the Roger? We're up against a Phoveus. The amount of dashes that Roger has, and especially one of those dashes being going away and potentially towards your allies, means you put them at risk of just getting dunked on by the Phoveus.
And you just increase the sustain that this Phoveus could get.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like they actually still might be considering that they banned the Vexana. If it's not the Roger, it could be the carry, as you mentioned. But I don't think we see enough pieces on the side of TNC Pro Team. However, Phoveus is annoyingly tanky that maybe you just want to chase the true damage already.
So would they be picking up the carry immediately, revealing it to TNC, and potentially allowing for Kozen to respond? So they don't. They still go for the Roger. And to me, it seems like the Vexana ban also somewhat answers the Zask, since it can easily take out with a Cursed Blast, like the Swan, especially in the early stages of the game. So they might want to really bank on the early game here for RSG Philippines. For TNC, what would be Kozen's hero? They go for the Matilda Paramis. Okay.
Right now, they're losing in the damage department. They might just try to out-sustain in the early. They don't have enough answers for the Edith. They need just pick up the carry at this point. Just go true damage. However, this is going to be tough. Very tough for the Phoveus. He's going to be the main front liner. Escalera and Lancia are going to be pulling double duty against a very strong formation lineup.
Wait, that was a Nathan?
Yeah, that's a Nathan. It's not the carry. They go for the magic damage instead. So that's sort of them saying that, yeah, there's a chance we might actually not win the early game. we might want to hold out until to the mid to the late. That's what the native pick tells me.
They both have a lot of magic damage here, so I'm expecting a lot of action in the early stages of the game. So who's our play-by-play, I wonder? So I suggest the play-by-plays get ready again for another day full of action. But then for the last pick here for RSG Philippines, they're lacking their XP/roam, which is uncertain because Light previously also used the Edith. But
I still really hope it's a pick off Kaja, maybe even a Cho. One of those two. Have they Julian? Oh, they go Lolita. There's a Nathan and Faramis. Yeah, RSG's draft looks way too good. This puts the draft right now of RSG puts a lot of pressure onto Kaizen to not die early, get picks early. Puts a lot of pressure on Escalera and Lancy to not lose the pokes, to not give a lot of early deaths, because they're just gonna be facing a lot of aggression from the side of RSG Philippines.
Yep, and I feel like the Numenon Blast will be doing a lot when it comes to the team fights that we might be expecting later
Very true,
on.
yes.
It can like capture either those who want to just engage with the Nether Realm and just stop them in their tracks, provide or offer some slows and additional sustain as well if they want to opt for the revitalized kind of Lolita, but we're yet to know, or maybe we're seeing it right now, but we'll leave it to the casters and let's see what happens. Let's go to Naisu and Leo.
Awesome.
Right before we enter the Land of Dawn, we would like to welcome everyone watching to the first game of this best of 3. TNC Pro Team facing off against RSG.
Let's go.
You can't pick the Edith and not give it to Nibor.
Yeah, you can't at this point. I mean, ever since he came in, was it week? Well, at least for me, I saw him do amazing things in week number 2. And so far, Namor has just been able to perform really well, especially with that hero like we mentioned. And also, just to answer the question over there from Brigida, yes, it's going to be a Flicker Lolita this time around for Light. Oh. We have seen the Revitalize iteration of it, though.
I'd reckon it's mainly because of how TNC drafted. Now the Bonk!
Bonk's already there. A lot of aggression.
Check out the Purify.
Yeah.
See, that's why. You want to be able to threaten TNC because of the bold move in their draft to say, you know what, Heads, you're the only frontliner. We're going to try to finesse ourselves into a mid-game, late-game power spike.
Yeah.
Henceforth, RSG says, all right, we're going to lean hard into it. Look at this major presence by the Phoenix Army down bottom.
Yeah, they're going to put pressure here. Real quick, too, I want to ask you what you think, Leo. This, instead of the Vengeance on the Phoveus, the Flicker, what do you like better?
Personally?
Personally, and then what have you seen work better, I would say?
I think the Vengeance is just so much better. Yeah. The Flicker here is for repositioning and, again, to fix that whole, you know, we're letting go of the mid-game power spike for a more late-game safety. And look at that, even Lassie has the Flicker back out.
Good Flicker, yeah.
So that's a story of TNC right now. Is a lot of the choices that they made here are mainly because of how they understand that we live in the late game. So every action we do from here on, every decision, is for us to get there.
You know what's so crazy about that, too, is every time we talk about a TNC matchup, we always talk about how dominant they are in the early game. And sometimes, you know, by the time they get to mid-late game, the fire is doused out.
And see where that got us, right? They're still winless. Maybe it's because of that whole focus on the early game that's put them where they are right now in dire need of points. Maybe it's the fact that they need to fix that mid-game to late-game ramp-up.
Yeah.
That'll get them points. That'll give them the hopes of making it into the playoffs. Now, Nibor with the Flicker in!
Already goes in with a Flicker. Target was Heads, but right now they're just going to zone them off with the Turtle here. Light, not level 4 just yet. Drags in the Dominator's Ascent too. They get the stun off on this time, but Heads, he's going to go in with Infernal Pursuit here. Rad finally gets the Turtle. There's the knock-up with the Enhanced Chains, and now Nibor on the run. Heads going for the kill, goes in with a wave, and will get the first blood. Now looking for more, a Flicker from Aqua. Heads isn't done yet. Still looking for a second kill off of it. Might be able to get it off the Circling Eagle, and it's Kaizen that picks up the kill.
Man, this man is non-stop! And they're still going! Kusei! Oh, all right. You see that? Putting a new definition to hard-headed. You see that? That was what? 3 minutes in? Maybe we have to reconsider how we look at their early game plans. Maybe it's the fact that it's so deceptively powerful in the early that RSG lean hard into it and get punished like that.
Yeah, they try to, like, literally go in as raiders for those fights, but then it's so extended from TNC's lineup here that sometimes by the time everything has been used up, they're like, all right, we don't have anything left. We got to kind of disengage from this, and they can't.
It's like Rorschach from Watchmen. I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me. That's what happened to Heads there, who, by the way, post-turtle take. Joseph, post-turtle take. Even with the shields and the extra damage from Irad, they were the ones sent packing. I'll give that win over to TNC, that first sequence. We're about 40 seconds away from Turtle number 2, and RSG aren't exactly letting go of the possibility of an early game lead. See, some of them are still crossing the river here. Light putting a border between Kusei and these 3 members of TNC. I'm pretty sure he knows. We got about half a minute until the turtle spawns up, and I think if nothing happens in this rotation down bottom, well,
it's going to be a little bit longer. Yeah.
We'll see RSG maybe go for another play. This is a pre-turtle rotation.
And I think that's what they, you know, with the lineup that they have, but that's why earlier when we saw that turtle take, it can either be Light or it can be Nabor. Like, utilizing the flickers that they have and the heroes that they have, they can start the fights, they can peel for them if they need to, but part of this whole equation, like we've been talking about, is making sure that they're still healthy enough after the, you know, the initial Nether Realms are down, Heads is jumping in the backside and all that. As long as they're not too far, you know, in the low health areas in terms of fighting power, they should be okay. But I think even then, when you look at the lineup that RSG Philippines has, it might take them to get to a point where, you know, then Kosei can shine, he's farmed up. You need them to get the farm as well because they got a lot of CC. But if it comes to the fights and winning those extended ones, then, you know, they need the damage as well.
Yeah, long and short of it is, at this point, turtle number 2, maybe even turtle number 3, RSG have to have a decisive early win. A single collapse that maybe takes out 1 or 2, even with the Netherrealm pop. Even with the Netherrealm, if they take out 1 or 2 out of the picture, then all the better they can play like the Raiders that they are.
It makes me wonder with both these lineups, it's like, what happens when both teams start picking up Radiant Armors, maybe some Athena Shields or something? There's so much magic damage for both sides.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot. Our panelists talked about it, especially for TNC. You know, they're playing with the fact that majority of their damage is going to be on that profile of magic damage, whereas on the flip side, RSG at least has some physical damage, you know?
They got some physical.
They got Roger.
Yeah, they got the Roger. They have, well,
it's mostly going to come from Roger.
Yeah, that's why they have to win early. That's why they have to make the most of this first 8-9 minutes before the Radiant Armors come into play. On the other hand, there is Kaizen, who's slowly building up on that Nolan, who, by the way, can just pop even Kusei. Even when it comes down to it, if Kusei doesn't pick up a Thunderbelt sooner than later, he can get bursted down.
He can get bursted down. And that looks like it might be the game plan here, at least, you know, focusing on this bottom side, gold lane. And even talking about gold lane alone, by the way, there's a Radiant Armor already being picked up by Head. So you know his plan already. You know, he wants to go full front face and just tank up as much as he can, especially that magic damage. Whoa, Nabor goes in with a flicker again, pops the Primal Wrath. Lancey's going to be fine. Circling Eagle going to be able to find multiple members too, enough to back him off. And a Numenon Blast won't land either. Lancey might go ahead and be okay with it, but right now it's TNC forcing RSG off the objective.
Ooh, the preemptive fight begins. Another one!
There's the toss up again. Heads, the back line just wants to force him off the objective, and they'll do it. TNC will get the turtle.
And cleanly, too. RSG wasn't ready for TNC to engage right here pre-River Brush. They weren't expecting TNC to give that much and to spend as much as they did on protecting Lancey to feign an engagement to make RSG think twice about that second turtle. So now with that said, TNC's lead grows close to 2,000 now at about 5.5 minutes. Again, there's that Radiant Armor on Heads, who, by the way, I 110% support this. Like, this is what he needed to do, and that's what's going to make half of the map almost inaccessible to RSG.
Yeah, and that's, even again, like, if he uses the flicker or not, part of his job is literally just to be a nuisance. And look at this rotation on the bottom side. They're going to collapse down, forcing RSG off the Tier 1 turret. They won't even fight. They just want the objective. TNC playing very smart right now.
100%. That is what TNC wanted. If anything, if RSG responded, it would have been odd, because TNC will have to ask Kaizen, where are you? Are you ready for this fight? And RSG, I don't think they can. Wait, it's a one-on-one. Excuse me?
Oh, they know the Primal Wrath is down. I don't know if Heads is. Yeah, I don't think they go under the turret. Nabor has light here, so looks like it's just going to be a dead for now.
Something tells me that was a feign for a feign.
Yeah.
I think RSG was also looking for something there. Solo outplay possibly, but with the second turtle spawning in that same spot. Joseph, all 3 turtles in this game in the same spot.
All in the same spot.
It's tough because there's a lot of things happening down bottom.
Picks up the
Irad
chips.
versus Kaizen.
Kaizen, but he's got some backup from Kosei. He's going to force him back. The Stampede on Light. Circling Eagle once again, going to be able to find two. Now Heads joining this top side, but again, the game plan here is objective. Nabor going to get forced out of the bush, delay him a little bit longer. The rest of the team from RSG is going to join in, sandwich the play through, and now Lancey in trouble as he falls to Kosei. Kosei flickers in, pounces down. Kaizen might be a little bit too late to the fight, goes for Kosei, will be able to get him out as Heads picks up the kill. Aqua will flicker in, but couldn't clean up the kill either, and now Nibor on the run. Retribution going to be used from Kaizen as he comes up to clean up the kill, and now Irad next. The slam dunk from Heads will find a double, and they find multiple kills for TNC.
In the first 7.5 minutes, it's basically Heads and the gang. TNC riding off of Heads' coattails, 4-0-2. They're gonna leave Kaizen to take the turtle. That's how far ahead TNC is right now. Amazing work. Could have sworn RSG was gonna get something out of that. But all throughout, dude, how is Heads able to fight on two different fronts?
You know how they say, yeah, it's always on his shoulders. Now it's on his head, you know? Heads.
It's on Heads.
It's on Heads. And you know what? This is great because I was casting his games yesterday. And he played the Charizla, and maybe he wasn't so happy about the performance yesterday. Well, I'll tell you what, he's having a phenomenal game one right now against RSG Philippines. And he is the problem. Right now, he is him that RSG has to deal with if they want to go ahead and swing the game in their favor.
It's that flicker that right now, you can see it's on cooldown. It's off of cooldown. He didn't have to use it.
Yeah.
That's just how dominant he is here in the mid-game. Nobody from RSG can actually burst him down. And he's just keep jumping and jumping and jumping with the Infernal Pursuit. And now they're going to threaten another turret, eventually take it, and he's going to force all 5 members of RSG to answer. That's how much it takes, Joseph.
He's basically a boss.
5 dudes.
5 guys. That's like your whole party, man.
Great burger. But 5 members just to watch out. Because look, anytime Heads jumps on the... Even Nibor, even Light, they're afraid of Heads.
And what do you do? I mean, part of it is you got to get enough damage to deal with. Divine Glaive picked up by Aqua. That's not really going to solve it just yet.
Oh.
Heads going to be able to find 2, and this might be the play right here. They're going to force him out of the jungle. Heads flickers defensively. Numinal Blast, though, will be able to pick up a couple stuns. They have the Nether Realm, and now TNC wants to fight back. They force RSG, but this whole time, Kaizen picked up a turret.
2 things, despite RSG's amazing setup, Light with the Numenon Blast flicker hitting 4 members. You can see here 5,000 gold ahead.
Yep.
TNC's gold lead is enough to deter RSG from pushing forward. That was 5v4. As mentioned, Kaizen was pushing down bottom. Even RSG didn't have enough firepower to take down 4.
They didn't have enough, and right now, they're confident enough as Nibor flickers in again, tosses them up. They're waiting for it, but Lancey's going to be taken out before they can do anything. Right now, the trade, but there's Heads on the backside again. The flicker from Aqua goes into the Dominator's Descent, and he will be alive. But 3 down for RSG, and TNC is all alive.
Heads isolated 3. You saw that? He was, you know what, even at a 10th of his health, I'd reckon he didn't even consider himself dying. It wasn't going to happen, not on his watch. Check this out. One more time, an amazing combo by Nibor setting it up, but Light versus 3 and Heads versus 3, the numbers just don't add up.
Yeah, and like this is also great. We're gonna take a little break here real quick, a little breather. But again, what Heads was able to do there is even not only zone out 3 members, but also take out one of the more hard-hitting abilities, the Dominator's Ascent. Because Aqua had to run away,
tanked it.
He's not even close enough to be providing any value, any damage to the team fight.
And it's not the kind of damage you need. Again, he is rocking the Radiant Armor, and every jump, every dash, every Infernal Pursuit gives him a little more health, a little more shields.
Yeah.
So
he's got Brave Smite as well, I believe.
Say what you will about there being 3, but even Irad, like, get the full-on enhanced combo. Chains, swords, sickles, nothing.
Nothing. Can't touch him. And after all that happened, that whole exchange, TNC is in a position where they can be knocking on the base turrets of RSG. Like,
Oh,
they have enough lead.
for
They have
sure.
enough confidence right now
For
in the
sure.
momentum in this game. And even though it's the first Lord, I almost expect them to at least get one of the turrets down here.
What's more difficult, save for this 7,000 gold lead on TNC, is the fact that RSG's draft
Yeah.
doesn't even really defend that well.
Like, clear-wise, their high ground defense.
Team fight-wise, sure, you can threaten with a Numenon Blast underneath an inhibitor,
Yeah.
or even underneath the base. But from there, how do you take advantage? Like, all of their hitters, right? All of their cores. I'm talking about the Roger. I'm talking about the Zask. I'm talking about even the Edith.
Okay, yeah.
All of them, like, need to take the time.
Yeah. They have to take the time, and then not only that, but all their, basically, in order to clear this push, and that's why I'm saying, like, this first Lord push is actually going to be super valuable for TNC, it gives them the weak point, too, because even a Julian, for example, like, you're going to try to clear out the waves the best you can, but then do you have enough are the cooldowns back up for the team fight?
That's right.
Because you know Heads is going to be jumping back into this.
And Heads basically has no cooldown. Heads has no chill. He will keep going. He is endurance personified.
Yeah.
And at 10.5 minutes, I reckon there's a possibility, Joseph, that it ends here.
This push.
A single, yes. That's how far ahead TNC is. And that's how, in the past 5 minutes, we haven't really said much of the names of the other members of TNC. It's because they're all just following Head's lead.
Yeah, they just follow the leader at this point.
Exactly, sure. RSG have been able to find Lancy back-to-back now. That's the 2 kills on Lancy right now.
Yeah.
But that aside, their other kills are Escalera and Kozin.
I was going to say, he's like the best guy for them to lose if you're TNC, because the passive for Faramis.
Did you just come back in?
He's just going to be back.
Right, and maybe Kozin, that time they caught him, maybe he got overloaded on damage, maybe they get to press the flicker. But right now, at 6.5.
Whoa.
Up. Whoa.
Whoa, Irad just taken out of the picture. And Kaizen's also fine from it.
Kaizen knows what it's like to be a Julian and to be caught out. Happened yesterday against APBren. He knows how to punish. And now underneath, tier 1 down bottom, Lord still standing. This fight's just about to break out. They do take it down. Oh!
Aqua's going to jump in too. They want to force the fight. Mid-turret still being worked on. Nibor out of the picture. Kaizen, though, won't be able to escape Kusei. So another trade across the board. The 1-for-1 right now. But 2 turrets in the base are down.
Oh, no.
RSG holds on to 1. They're going to try to hold on to the game. Lancy goes in, pulls them with a chance out of stampede. Winter Crown already there too. Light jumps in, takes a ton of damage himself. There's the circling eagle. They jump on Kozin, but he'll be able to pick up Light. And now a jump in from Kosei. So they stop the TNC raid in the base, and RSG lives to fight for another day.
Back-to-back shutdowns. And you see how the base took a little bit of a love tap, like how some minions walked into range.
Yeah.
Luckily, RSG had their targeting on point. They were able to take down not just Escalera, but also Kaizen and Heads. I would imagine there's a lot of gold involved in that, and now they're going to make up for it on the map. This is their 2nd turret overall, Joseph, pushed in mid. And RSG are going to do more than just that. Grand Theft Purple committed right now, and it would be in their best interest to take down that top lane too. So far, they're not out of the woods just yet. RSG are still in dire straits.
Yeah.
I don't know how they should take this fight, though. Ooh.
Oh, this is a tough one. I think RSG wants to fight this again. Nibor has the flicker. He's done it so many times, but they might just go ahead and be like, let's just wait the 20 seconds for this Lord to come up.
All right. I don't know if they're counting ults or if their cooldown mental timers are on point, but this is the best time because the purifiers are off.
Yeah.
So this might actually be a lethal engage if RSG just kind of snap and take it. But I think what they're waiting for is Light. Light still doesn't have a flicker.
Yeah. So there's a whole lot to kind of consider here, but ultimately it leads up. Purify's being back available. Lord is now up too. RSG gonna pop the conceal, try to get some space to work with around this Lord pit.
All right, Pixel Brush checking in. Aqua not sure if he should. River Brush in control of the Raiders. Ira taking control of the top long brush while the fence bushes and the Y for TNC. Upper quarter Lord shuffle here. Escalera peeks in.
They're going to go, actually, forcing the fight again. Nimbora goes in too. They force him back a little bit further. Heads still in the front of it all. They get a couple ultimates down, but they'll disengage from the fight, regroup, get together. Aqua gets really low, very close from getting taken down, still holds on to Dominator's descent, and right now Lord's at half health.
Whoa.
They're gonna go and work for it, forcing back RSG from the fight. Heads again, jumping towards the backside. Escalera though, Irad somehow gets the Lord. Nether Realm's used as well. Escalera on the chase, but Kozen's in the base, and RSG might have got the objective, but TNC will take game number 1.
The Phoenix Army rises to the occasion. Takes the first game in the series. Was it not just yesterday that they lost in the same fashion?
Oh man.
They left their base open, and here they learned their lesson. They take it.
They take it. They learn their lesson. That, you know, they didn't want to see that minion anymore. You know, just sitting there hitting the base, and Kozen ends up doing it.
We'll throw it over to the Infinix Game Tambayan to break down this game 1. Brigida, Renmar, all you.
That was not the first time we saw a sudden split end the game abruptly this week. But this one felt like it was really refreshing and rewarding for TNC Pro Team.
Poetic. Yesterday, they were on the receiving end of that with solely just minions. Now they were like, okay, Aqua can't go back home because, man, Kazen brought him low. Escalera, I thought he was diving in a bit too deep, but once I saw the minions in the bottom lane and I saw where Kozen was positioned, yeah, you go ahead and take that split push, but it wouldn't have gotten to this point if it wasn't for the calculated aggression of Heads. 2 major sequences for him to bag this MVP performance. First turtle, after RSG took it, he kept fighting versus Nibor, Light, and Irad, leading to the first 2-0 for TNC Pro Team. Then 7 minutes in, a fight broke out that RSGPH was leading, but Heads kept fighting alongside Kazen. Lancy came back in time to help him and Kazen to bag the 4 kill. And that's coming from the fact, it's this one, that it would be a long time until Lancy comes back. But because he got to respawn quickly, because of his passive, you see him coming back, Heads kept fighting. I was literally yelling here beside you, just go forward, you're a Phobius. And that's exactly what he did. Kazen was also very clean in this game as well, if I'm not mistaken. Only 1 death suffered, maybe even 0. We'll see in the post-game stats.
I mean, Heads also showed us a couple of interesting ways to play the Phobius, if I may say. There was this one time near the orange buff of RSG Philippines where he just he kept going in as usual, but then he used his flicker to reposition himself behind the members here of RSG Philippines, which allowed him to buy a little more time for himself and create more plays and just sustain the team fight a little bit more for his team. So there were this small decisions that all mattered for TNC Pro Team that were led by Heads, and it was him who really paved the way for TNC to not just be so hesitant despite RSG supposedly having the better early game.
RSG Philippines kept forcing a lot of things up against TNC Pro Team, especially Nibor. The casters kept pointing it out, and it was a great highlight, the flicker Earth Shatter or the flicker onward, and they would play around that with a late Numenon Blast by Light and of course a late entry by Aqua. In terms of the layering and their team fighting, RSG Philippines, if things went really right for them, then they would have dominated, they would have snowballed. But TNC Pro Team did the unexpected things, which was fight when you didn't expect them to. If you go back to the statistics that we showed before we headed into this game, the graphs showed that the lineup of RSG Philippines does win. Early to mid game potential, mid to late game potential, they win that. But there's one key statistic that TNC wins, which is damage potential. Because once we saw the game go to the point where it was a little bit closer to the items, RSG could fight a little bit more, TNC still eked it out with damage, and they also had the heal potential much higher because of the Matilda and Faramis.
Yeah, if you were RSG, I think that would kind of disrupt the idea you wanted to stick by in terms of rotation, like taking down the turrets immediately. They're leading in, they have a high ranking in terms of turret damage, but then it seemed like whenever TNC decided to go for a fight, it was, as you've mentioned, very unexpected that RSG, they just had to give or react in some way to whatever TNC was trying to make or whatever they were trying to achieve throughout that entire game. So unknowingly, they were already dictating the pace of the game. And so they were just consistently trying to keep doing what they just were they repeatedly did in the first few minutes, and that eventually gave them the win, because it was just really the idea of Hez just keep going in. Also, our casters mentioned earlier that if ever there was a casualty that would happen in or for TNC's lineup, it was Lancy that was kind of okay for them because they were always together. So he would just keep getting his stacks. So whenever he's taken out, he would, as you mentioned also, just immediately get back, and that would just push his teammates to just keep going because they can re-engage as much as they want to. Another thing is, I'm really surprised as to how Escalera just kept on using the Circling Eagle whenever it was available. Like, he was just, okay, I'm going to use the Circling Eagle, I'm going to just get some information, try to push them away. And every time it was available, it was already adjusted, right? Like, it gets a longer cooldown if it doesn't hit an enemy hero. But a lot of times it didn't. But then he just kept using it anyway.
Yeah, that's why I like the Matilda up against any lineup that has a static mid laner, a mid laner that you're forced to play around and keep the formation really tight. What we get with Zask is someone that, yes, you could say doesn't really care about the formation as much because the Dominator's Descent can reposition itself at least once, and then we see the trend for Zasks is to be aggressive if you're not going to be the one getting dived on. If you're the one getting dived on and you're forced to use Dominator's Descent in a defensive manner, that's when things start to go sour for Zask mains or Zask players here in MPL Philippines, especially if the response of the opposing team that forced you to use the Dominator's Descent early is really good. We've highlighted almost everyone here, but again, I really want to give my props to Kaizen. His timing, timing of entry, timing of damage, all throughout this game ensured that even if it looked like TNC already used up majority of the resources already, there was still one fracture coming in from a Nolan that will deal the damage to turn fights around.
Yeah, up until the very last